Well,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why are we all joined here and standing here doing this debate today? I mean, it was almost a year ago that I shared with the House my own family's history of experiencing anti-Semitism through the centuries. It was in my mother's family that there were members that were expelled from Spain in the 15th century. Now, I also spoke about the 100 members, in fact more than 100 members of my family, aged from 4 to 83, who were murdered by the Nazis in the gas chambers of Treblinka, Sobibor, Mauthausen, Bergen-Belsen and Auschwitz. And what has happened since that last debate, Mr. Speaker? And it really pains me to say this and to share with the House that, and as we've heard already from the many contributions, we have gone backwards. We have not seen the progress we should have seen over the course of the past 11 months. On a personal level, Mr. Speaker, I have just in the past year alone seen a further 2 people convicted. One from the far right, imprisoned after he threatened to kill me, convicted under counter-terrorism legislation, and another, just before Christmas, a former member of the Labour Party, convicted of harassment. Mr. Speaker, that takes my tally to 6/7 individuals, depending on how you interpret it, convicted of anti-Semitic-inspired hate crimes and threats. And there is a significant amount of anti-Semitism which might not reach the criminal threshold, but has surfaced. I have been subject to thousands of messages of anti-Semitic abuse and hate, and I just want to reflect on what I've seen in the past week. I just want to share with the House the range of terms I've seen, ranging from the ridiculous to the truly disturbing. With only, there might be just a small minority that think I'm a Zionist lizard, or that I'm responsible for the Eurovision taking place in Israel. It's sadly all too common to be addressed as an evil little witch, a murdering Zionist. Abuse is only part of the problem. Arguably more concerning, as we've heard already, is the rise of insidious anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, that I am an agent of Mossad, that I am a traitor to my country, that I am paid directly by Benjamin Netanyahu, based purely on my Jewish background. And despite this, the comments underneath my posts on social media are filled with individuals calling me the MP for Tel Aviv, or asking whether a member of Likud can actually stand for election in our country. And just yesterday, an individual that says they are a member of the Labour Party, with the hashtag JC4PM in their bio. They've been on Twitter for an extended period of time. They've got hundreds of followers. This is not a bot that's been created. Said, shame on Luciana Berger, a Zionist bitch. I hate her baby, her Israel. Elsewhere, an official Labour-affiliated group, Young Labour, announced that following the departure of my right honourable friend, the member for Enfield North, this would mean that Palestine lived, and then proceeded in bullying the Jewish chair of Young Labour. And influential Twitter users have wished good riddance to Israel's 5th columnists. They've called myself and honourable and right honourable friends the Israel Stooges Party, the Israel Apartheid Democratic Front, and so on. Others have alleged that Rothschilds and George Soros will declare their backing for the new independent group. Mr. Speaker, I share all of this because this is what is happening in our country from people across the country during the past week and today in particular. And it was my political home for nearly 20 years, until I resigned from the Labour Party on Monday, where I have seen obfuscation, smears, inaction, denial, every step of the way. And we had the debate last time in this House following the unprecedented event of a minority community in our country, the British Jewish community, taking to Parliament Square, outside of this place, to say enough is enough when it comes to anti-Semitism. It wasn't a demonstration against National Action or Tommy Robinson, but it was against the Labour Party, a political movement which is supposed to pride itself on the values of equality for all and anti-racism against all. And yet what has happened in the wake of that event, that unprecedented event in our country, and what has happened in the wake of what was a debate in this House that took place just a few weeks later? Mr. Speaker, you couldn't make up the catalogue of events that has shamed the Labour Party since that happened. The countless cases of individuals, again, as my right honourable friend has alluded to already, cases that have been dropped, those cases that have not been responded to. In the wake of, in the run-up to Holocaust Memorial Day this year, we learnt of members of the Labour Party who had made anti-Semitic comments in high-profile positions, a number of them councillors, one a Welsh Assembly member, who saw as their sanction a reminder of the rules, Mr. Speaker, a reminder of the rules, and that was somehow a zero-tolerance approach to anti-Semitism. We heard the audio recording of a member of the Labour Party's highest governing body, the National Executive Committee, accused 70 British rabbis of being Trump fanatics rather than address their very serious concerns around anti-Semitism. We had to fight for months to see the international definition of anti-Semitism, with all of its examples, accepted and adopted by the Labour Party, even with a last-minute attempt to dilute it. We had the summer of anti-Semitism, where there wasn't a day that went by when there wasn't another story in the British press about anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, and the leaders' connections to this issue. One in particular which caused such gross offence was the claim that British Jews don't get irony. We were told that the Leader of the Opposition was present but not involved at the laying of the wreath of the individuals who orchestrated the Munich attack and murder of Israeli athletes. The commitment to meet a deadline of high-profile cases deliberately missed. The party withholding details of physical threats to MPs, including myself. Just last week, the Parliamentary Labour Party held in contempt, despite their very reasonable request for the party to answer 11 straightforward questions and to respond to serious concerns about anti-Semitism ignored. Mr. Speaker, this is a shameful record, let alone from a leadership and political party that seeks the highest office in our land. And that's why I have arrived at the sickening conclusion that the Labour Party is institutionally anti-Semitic in its processes, its attitudes and behaviour, and we ignore this at our peril. Colleagues have referred to the figures where we've seen in this country an increase in the past year, a 16% rise since 2017. Behind every one of those incidents is a person who can be affected. And I'll give way.
She's making some very powerful points. I'm reminded of the Russian saying which says the fish always rots from the head. Would she agree that's apt in this case?
Well, I've heard the members' comments, and of course people will contend with this issue in different ways. I haven't held back in speaking out and seeking to challenge at every available opportunity what I've seen as anti-Semitism within what was my party's ranks. But this is not just an issue for us here in our country, it's an issue across Europe. We heard what happened yesterday, where there were demonstrations in 60 different towns and cities because of the increase in anti-Semitism there. Mr. Speaker, I just want to conclude by saying that I certainly won't be intimidated, I won't be bullied, and I won't be silenced. I have been and will continue to use the full force of British law to ensure that people are held to account for the crimes that they commit, because we shouldn't have any tolerance, and that extends to all issues and all crimes when it comes to racism. But, Mr. Speaker, this cannot be the British Jewish community's fight alone. History tells us where this can lead, and I am very clear that across the chamber, in every institution, in every part of our national life, we must drive out anti-Semitism and promote those values of respect, equality and tolerance. I am sick and tired of debating it and describing it. We've heard enough warm words and read enough tweets of solidarity. Now really is the time for swift and strong and decisive action, so that when we debate this in a year's time, we can celebrate our progress, not reflect again, once again, on our collective failure. And I implore all members from across this House to do everything that they can to tackle anti-Semitism in our country.